Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. I've been lied to? Wait, I thought there were 196 or 7, actually. All right, well, there are a lot of countries that some identify as countries and others don't, right? Taiwan, some call that a country, others don't. Kosovo, some call it a country, others don't. Is Western Sahara part of Morocco? I don't know. Any other examples? I'm sure. Anyways, let's go. So I'm sure it's going to vary a bit, but it's in the 190s, right? Jay Foreman, awesome channel, guys. The original link to the video, top of the description. My name's Connor if you're new. Let's learn.
312. 195.
193.
312.
204. How many countries are there?
197.
That's what we're doing.
Welcome to Map Men.
We're the men.
And here's the map.
Map men, map men, map men.
Men.
In 3200 BC,
5223 BN.
the best traveled people in the world were the Iranians.
Before now.
BC,
5223 BN.
the best traveled people in the world were the Iranians.
Because every Iranian had visited
Persian.
every country in the world. Iran.
It was the first place to form a sort of government over a sort of territory, making it a sort of country.
But then, visiting every country became doubly difficult when Egypt assembled itself into a state of its own.
And things only got more complicated from there. Countries started
Iran was before. I thought the Babylonians were the first. Sumerians.
Egypt assembled itself into a state of its own.
It's so crazy long ago.
And things only got more complicated from there. Countries started popping up everywhere, including early versions of China, Vietnam, India, Armenia, North Korea, and finally every other country.
So, what exactly is the grand total now at 5 p.m. in 2024?
197?
Because if you're cramming for a pub quiz, or planning an Olympic opening ceremony, or making a website drop-down menu for select your country, or making an episode of Map Men about exactly how many countries there are, exactly how many countries there are matters.
The most commonly used answer comes from this important building on the green screen behind me, the United Nations, where the world's nations gather to discuss problems and find solutions.
Is this in New York or is this in Belgium? It's one of the two, right?
If you're a member of it, you're a country, and the number of members is... It's a UN Decree 193.
Here they are. Oh, and there's also 2 observer states who get to speak at meetings but not vote.
Palestine, Vatican, right? Or San Marino? Vatican. Palestine, Vatican?
Long story.
The UN has revised to 195.
The perceived officialness of this number creates an opportunity for record collectors with too much time on their hands, such as Graham Hughes, who in 2012 became the first person to visit every single one.
And he did it without taking a single flight.
Bye, Mum. I'll see you in just over 4 years.
But did Graham really finish the job? Can he definitely say he visited every country in the world just because he followed the UN's list?
Not
Don't do this. He visited enough to... Okay.
necessarily. Take Taiwan.
Something China wants to do.
Taiwan, which behaves exactly like a country, with its own government, flag, military, currency, capital city, and national anthem, is not considered a country by the UN because
It is to
Taiwan
me.
claims that it's actually China.
What?
Oh, right.
What?
In 1927, a civil
Chiang
war broke
Kai-shek.
out between the ruling Republic of China and the
Mao.
Chinese Communist Party.
The communists won, and the old government fled to Taiwan, where they've been holed up ever since, resulting in these 2 countries both claiming to be the real China.
For a long time, most of the world continued to recognise only the exiled government, but the passage of time
And the passage of economic superpower
saw communist China fully
That should be... Like, that is it. Your ability to claim yourself as a country clearly depends on how much extremely important other countries have a problem with you being a country or not. That seems to be the criteria.
accepted by the UN in 1971. Taiwan is, of course, just one of many examples of de facto
Kosovo,
countries who lack UN recognition for similar reasons.
Others are Kosovo,
Kurdistan.
Somaliland, Western Sahara, Northern Cyprus, South Ossetia, Transnistria, Abkhazia, the UAE, Cook Islands, and SMOM, who aren't members but all have at least one member friend.
So, if we add
Hold on.
UN recognition for similar reasons.
Others are Kosovo, Somaliland, Western Cyprus.
Kosovo, Somaliland. Is that a northern? Okay, I think that's a separatist northern region of Somalia that is doing some dealings with Ethiopia for a coast
Sahara, Northern Cyprus.
or a port.
Countries who lack UN recognition
You can just go for it if you want, guys. I just want to hear every country they're saying or everything.
for similar reasons.
Others are Kosovo, Somaliland, Western Sahara, Northern Cyprus, South Ossetia, Transnistria, Abkhazia.
Northern Cyprus, of course.
South Ossetia, Transnistria,
What is that?
Cyprus, South Ossetia, Transnistria, Abkhazia, and UA Cook Islands, and FMOM, who aren't members but all have at least one member friend.
So, if we
Abkhazia, and UA Cook Islands, and FMOM, who aren't members but all have at least one member friend.
Okay, the ones I don't know are this one. I couldn't really hear them. This one.
Transnistria, Abkhazia, and UA Cook Islands, and FMOM, who aren't members
And
but
this
all
one.
have at least one member friend.
So, if we add these countries in practice countries to our list of unrecognised countries,
20.
sorry, UN recognised countries, we get a grand total of...
Some more for the slate, 208.
But that number's super contentious. At least the UN's 195 countries are countries everyone agrees are real countries, aren't they, Mark?
No, they're not, Mark. The UN members list confusingly includes lots of countries whose countryness is not recognised by some of their fellow members.
Yeah, I would love to know the number. How many countries are there that no one has a that everyone recognizes? You know?
These include Cyprus,
Not recognized by Turkey.
Armenia,
Not recognized by Pakistan.
South Korea,
Not recognized.
What?
include Cyprus,
Not recognized by Turkey.
Armenia,
Not recognized by Pakistan.
They don't even border each other. I thought it might not be recognized by Azerbaijan.
South Korea,
Not recognized by North Korea.
Makes
North
sense.
Korea,
Not recognized by South Korea.
Makes sense.
Or Japan.
Israel,
Not recognized by 28 UN countries.
sense.
and China.
Not recognized to this day by 12 UN countries,
Makes sense.
including Bhutan, who uniquely doesn't believe in Taiwan either.
So if
None of it exists.
we only counted countries on the UN members list who aren't disputed by anybody,
100. So I remember 197 minus Kosovo minus Taiwan is 195. 195. No, because you got a minus China, you got a minus Israel, minus Taiwan, or minus China, Israel, 493. 192.
our total number of countries would stand at, lose the suspect states, 188.
Dang it.
Problem free.
Not problem-free.
This number has the extremely unsatisfying effect of leaving big
Oh, Cyprus.
empty gaps on the world map that apparently belong to no country at all.
So, because we're big fans of colouring in,
Shading. The UN knows best. Bring back the rest. So that's the answer. Thanks for watching. The end. Goodbye.
Great. Well, it's a nice video, guys. See you next time. Love y'all. Bye. Joking.
hang on, I've just realised we can't use the UN's list.
Why is that?
Because a country that indisputably exists and is very important to me is missing.
Hello?
Minister, where are you? Your big speech is in 5 minutes.
Bad news. We've got to postpone. Today is the end of the world. Get to a bunker.
What?
No time to explain. The apocalypse is now. Or nigh. Whatever. Hurry.
Sir, I know announcing the new brick tax might make the press a bit hostile, but it's not the end of the world.
I feel an ad coming on.
But the world is ending in 90 seconds' time. Thankfully, I've got over 900 peaches.
Peaches?
Yes, tons of peaches. That's what they always say.
It's tins of peaches, sir. And I think you're
I
just
don't know
finding
that.
an excuse to avoid doing the speech.
Excuse? Timothy, I read this at www.bongbong.definitelyrealnews.omg. You must click this now.com. It's a news site. They don't lie.
Oh, Minister, are you saying you still
Ground.
don't use ground news?
Ground news?
I love that this is a big sponsor. And how good am I, by the way? Admit it. How good am I at knowing an advertisement is coming? It's like a spidey sense. Sixth sense. By the way, the people that think that the sixth sense is that sense you feel when you feel like you're being watched, that's bullcrap, okay? That feeling that like you feel like you're being watched has to be a lot of your other senses, like hearing and smell maybe, but mostly hearing, that weren't loud enough to really register, but were loud enough to like make something feel weird, and that's what that is. What was I saying was the sixth sense? Oh, my ad finding skills.
Ground news is
If you're interested in ground news, guys, which by the way is one of the sponsors I see in a lot of videos that I think is a freaking amazing idea. I hate media, both sides, okay? Sure, I have my political leanings like everyone else. I can go on a freaking rant about this. But what I hate more than anyone else's political beliefs is the media and news inability to just give news, okay? I hate that more than any political leaning, and so I think this is a great idea.
An website that lets you compare related news from across the world. With so many clickbaity websites posing as factually objective news outlets, Ground News...
I was about to say, do I have time to get a coffee, but I actually like watching their ads.
From across the world. With so many clickbaity websites posing as factually objective news outlets, Ground News helps you understand what's really going on.
Like the end of the world in 30 seconds time.
No, like the fact that there are different viewpoints on different stories, some more trustworthy than others. Ground News helps you understand the source of your news, with information on their reliability, political leaning, and ownership, all backed by ratings from 3 independent news monitoring organizations. For example, when your American friend tells you 13 counties in Oregon have voted to secede and join Idaho, you can look it up on Ground News. You can see that most of the sources covering this story are right-leaning with low and mixed reliability. And if you dig deeper and start...
If any story is only being reported by one side or the other, actually, it doesn't necessarily mean it's untrue. Never mind.
Compare the articles on the topic, you'll see that to actually secede, they would have to get approval from legislators in both states and Congress. If you go to...
The job of news journalism, I almost want to say this at the end of the ad, because more people might be here, and I want to say this. The job of the news is how can you get the most fallacious and attention-grabbing titles without lying? That is your job. That's your job as a journalist, okay? Get the most attention-grabbing, the most click-inducing story without having to lie. That's your goal. That's it. That's all it is. Freaking hate journalists.
Ground.news/mapmen or click this QR code. You can sign up to Ground News through their link and get 40% off unlimited access and potentially find out that the world is not going to end today and do your big important speech.
So you're saying all I have to do is get Ground News and I'll be so clued in I'll become Prime Minister?
Yes, you'll become Prime Minister.
Just downloading Ground News.
Congratulations, future Prime Minister.
I might do it,
I'll
actually.
be unimpeachable.
Ground News accepts no responsibility for customers who download the app expecting to become Prime Minister and do not become Prime Minister. A country that indisputably exists and is very important to me is missing. England.
Oh, so true! Oh my god, so true. Well, whenever I like doing country quizzes, right, and naming the countries, and the UK is always a country, but I also know that, you know, Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and England kind of claim country status.
Countries in the UN have to be not only autonomous, but sovereign, and those two words don't mean the same thing.
Autonomous means you come up with all your own laws and taxes and so on. But sovereign means you have the last word on these laws and taxes, and there is no one higher up who can interfere.
Many autonomous regions around the world can't become sovereign until they're let go by their host countries, such as Catalonia,
who need permission from Spain,
Chechnya,
who need permission from Russia,
and Scotland,
who need permission from Rishi Sunak.
So that's why the UK is a member of
permission from Russia,
and Scotland,
who need permission from Rishi.
My belief is that the Scottish people would like their governments, both the Scottish government and the UK government, to focus on the issues that are most pressing at the moment, given the scale of the challenges that we face. 98.5% chance this goes out of date by next week.
Sunak.
So that's why the UK is a member of the UN, but the 4 countries that make it up, England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, are not.
I know that, but the only available word for what England is country. If our list is going to include every country in the world, it simply has to be included.
It's not sovereign.
It's got an emoji flag.
Yeah, fair enough. UK countries uncombined, 199. But now we've opened a massive can of worms. If we decide to count country-like places that don't have their own sovereignty, we have to include crown dependencies, overseas territories, constituent countries, autonomous regions, specialist municipalities, and free associations join the crew. 282.
Jesus Christ.
This is getting really hard to count.
Perhaps the best way to say
that was super good. That worm. There's still some on there, and they only flew off when he actually pointed it. Oh my God.
Perhaps the best way to settle this and come up with a true number is to find a definition of the word country we can all agree on.
Such as the one they agreed on at the 1933 Montevideo Convention.
So what was that?
90 years ago,
Montevideo,
20 Pan-American countries flew to the capital of the country with the most U's in it to have a meeting to agree what was and wasn't a state.
Many of them had recently become independent, and they were very keen to enshrine the right to self-governance on an important piece of paper.
The 4 simple criteria for statehood they came up
A 50th of the USA. Skate. A frame of mind. Solid liquid gas. My marriage.
with were
Long car.
A permanent population, a defined territory, a government, and capacity to enter into relations with other states.
On the 26th of December, they realised they'd all missed Christmas and quickly signed a landmark agreement before flying home with duty-free gifts to their families. Merry Christmas, darling. Sorry, here's a massive Toblerone.
And so, since 1933, we've had an official definition of what a country is.
That should make counting straightforward, but the Montevideo definition has a couple of major flaws.
First of all, under the Montevideo Convention, the European Union counts as a
So England can't enter some agreement with the USA, trade or diplomatic whatever, on its own, right? So it can't do that, right?
country. It has laws. First of all, under the Montevideo Convention, the European Union counts as a country. It has a territory, a population, international relations, and full control of its member states.
No, it doesn't.
It feels like it does.
And the second problem is...
Oh, true.
Under the Monte Convention, this tree, a clearly defined territory in which I am both population and government and have capacity to enter into relations with other governments...
Hold on.
...all of its member states. It has a territory, a population, international relations, and full control of its member states.
What does full control mean? That you have to define that, because does the U.S. government have full control over every U.S. state? Not in every aspect.
No, it doesn't.
It feels like it does.
And the second problem is...
Under the Monte Convention, this tree, a clearly defined territory in which I am both population and government and have capacity to enter into relations with other governments...
I'm listening.
...is a country. I vow to tree my
It's in a country.
My country is a tree.
Okay.
This may sound silly.
It is, isn't it?
But across the world, there are countless areas that claim to be countries under this exact same criteria.
I think there's someone in like Nevada in the USA who claims that like their property is their own country, and the USA just doesn't care enough to do anything about
With
it.
zero recognition from any other state.
And they're known as micronations. Our favourite.
There are 86 micronations noteworthy enough to get a Wikipedia article,
Oh, God.
bringing our total to...
Micronations we collate, 368. That's rather a lot. Do micronations really need to be included on our very serious list?
Let's look at loads of examples.
You can have Uno.
Oh.
Just off the coast of Suffolk is this tiny disused naval fort, which is technically an independent country.
Don't get
When it
China
was abandoned
excited.
after World War II, it was in international waters, which meant it was technically up for grabs.
In 1967, fisherman Roy Bates turned up, intending to start a pirate radio station.
You're listening to CFM, playing you the very best in pop, rock, and country.
But quickly decided instead to declare the fort an independent country that he was prince of.
There's a thought.
And named it Sealand.
Sealand still declares itself
Do you guys have country music? Or is it called country, Wait a second.
an independent...
That he was prince of.
There's a thought.
And named it Sealand.
Sealand still declares itself
Good
an
flag.
independent country today, under Prince Michael Bates, who keeps his dad's dream afloat by selling titles and passports to documentary presenter after documentary presenter after documentary presenter. There are similarly silly stories for the small so-called states of Redonda, Seborga, West Arctica, Ladonian, Utopia, Zakistan, Wagamamona, Space Kingdom of Asgardia, and so on 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 and so on.
For our sensible list of countries to
I
have any meaning, we have to
really,
exclude countries that...
really want to read all of that.
Presenter. There are similarly silly stories for the small so-called states of Redonda,
A small uninhabited island southwest of Antigua. Okay. Claimed by a surprisingly large number of people, was the first destination for Fire Festival. Oh god. Until the organizer decided it probably offered too much by the way of facilities. That I get the joke.
Seborga, West...
Saborga's claim to independence is based on medieval documents suggesting it was a sovereign state in 954 AD. A resident decided to make the tourism dollar from the other way to the Italian towns, and it worked. 20 other countries now recognize Saborga, all of them micronations, and a happy difference from most. They do willingly accept Italian jurisdiction, so for now, civil war is a way off. Zakistan.
Pakistan, Wagamamona, Space Kingdom of Asgardia, and so on 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 and so on.
For our sensible list of countries...
Dang it!
Asgardia, and so on and so on.
I just want to read their tree ones.
So on and so on and so on and so on.
A veritable micronation with a height of 8 times greater than its width. All right, sorry, we'll continue.
For our sensible list of countries to have any meaning, we have to exclude countries that are too small and improbable on the grounds of silliness.
So San Marino and Vatican City are definitely...
One second, guys.
San Marino and Vatican City are definitely out.
No.
The real reason that micronations can't be considered on our list is because they all lack the most important thing of all when it comes to whether or not you're really a country.
Recognition from other countries.
If that's the only thing...
Is thing of all when it comes to whether or not you're really a country.
Recognition from other countries is, at the end of the day, really the only thing that makes a country a country. If your countryness is recognised only by yourself, as much as we love learning about you, we can't put you on our list. Sorry.
See, people argue, you know, is a country through de jure or de facto, right? De jure meaning... Crap, what is the difference? One of them means you control it but are not recognized, and the other one means you control it and are recognized. Or no, the other one means you recognize it, and the first one means you control it. I think.
And so, the time has now come for the big reveal. Based on all the evidence, the official answer to how many countries are there is...
197.
200-ish?
Yeah, high 100s, low 200s.
About 200.
Ultimately, because different countries recognise different countries as countries, the only possible answer to the question, how many countries are there, is it depends who you ask. Counting's a pointless task.
So, 200 plus or minus 10.
It depends who you ask. Perhaps it's more important to ask why it matters. Counting countries seems like a very 20th century pastime on an increasingly interconnected planet. The more the world's nations work together, the more we harmonise our trade and laws, and the more we interact on a daily basis with people from all over the world, the more we celebrate diversity within countries, the more the lines between nations and regions get beautifully blurred. Your nation state is just one of many different entities you can claim allegiance to, from your city, to your region, to your continent or your hemisphere. In time, the question of how many countries there are will only become more and more complicated and become less and less relevant.
Can I still wave my flag?
You can do what you want.
Hooray!
There is but one country, and it's called New England, and it's a beautiful place. And I recognize only Britain and Canada, I guess. Love y'all. Hope you're all doing well. Great video as always. Would appreciate any comments down below, any answers to any questions I had, any comments at all. You guys are always awesome with that. See you guys next video. Bye.